Something has got to happen because we can no longer go down the path that we're going down. This country won't last another 6 months. This country won't last another 12 months if something doesn't happen. So it's time to flip the switch. It's time to get involved. It's time to move the line forward. And if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So I don't care what flip the switch is. I don't care if that means that all of this nonsense is nonsense, or if some of it's true. All right. Welcome, Warriors, World Patriots, my fellow Americans. My name is Mike. I'm the host of the Liberty Warrior. Give me liberty or give me death. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes our duty, folks. It is the 7th day of March, 2022. It's Monday. Everybody's having a Monday, I think. Some people are having a Monday. Some people aren't. I know I kind of had a Monday, but to be honest, I took a nap and I think it made it all better. All right. Wow, my camera's looking good tonight. It's good to be back home and back in front of my mic. Hopefully the sound sounds good this evening. We're broadcasting on Liberty Warrior Nation, Liberty Warrior Nation Channel 2. We're also on Twitch and we're also on Facebook right now. So welcome to everybody who maybe this is your first time to the show. Welcome. And buckle up and get ready to have a little bit of fun tonight. I have a great guest coming on tonight. He is a third-degree Master Mason, and he's agreed to come on the channel with us and to just share what information he can. And he's agreed to tell us a little bit about the history of the Masons. I know a lot of people think that they're tied to the Illuminati. I know a lot of people think that they're evil. And he's got something that he wants to say about all that stuff. So I'm excited to have him join us. He's having a little bit of technical difficulty, but he's got the best man for the job on the internet trying to help him right now get his rig up and ready to go. And I know this very well because the same individual helps me all the time, and it's always crunch time at the last minute when we're working together, and I'm sweating bullets the whole time looking at the time. But this gentleman works well under pressure, and he does a fabulous job. So just a couple of updates here, and I'll open in prayer. And we got to pray for our brother Shane. I know he's watching right now. So hi, Shane. I hope you're feeling well, good today. I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to even reach out to him. So, all right, he's on his way. So anyway, just some updates. Don't forget about the coin giveaway at the end of this month. All right, guys. I got to talk to Shane. I'll probably talk to him tomorrow. We'll come up and figure up what we're going to do for the coin giveaway. There will be coins given away. I just don't know how many yet. But there'll be a decent amount, just like usual. And then we'll give away a couple of coffee cups as well. And then Shane was wanting to do some special things at the end of the month for the giveaway as well. So I want to make sure before I announce that Shane is still on board with that and what we're going to do for it. I've got everything that I need to get to Shane so that we can do this. So if he's still on board for that, I'll announce it probably tomorrow night. I'll let you guys know what we're going to do for that special giveaway. And it'll all be at the end of this month. It'll all be pretty much the same as usual. As long as you have a super chat or a membership on any of these channels, your name goes in the drawing and we draw your name out at the end of the month. Now, don't forget, this is also LWN's anniversary month as well. I have to go back and look at the date for sure. It's either the 22nd, the 20th, 24th, one of those 3 dates. So we're going to have an anniversary party for LWN, and I hope all of you guys will join us. It should be a fun celebration to just recognize that we've been on air for a whole year, and at times it seems like it's just a few days, and other times it seems like it's been a few years. So thank you all for your support. Thanks for joining us. I know some of you have been with us from the very get-go. I know Scad Warrior has. She's been with us since I think first week I was out. So, and I know a lot of you have. So thank you for that. Thank you for all the great months of watching and calling in and just being a part of LWN. War Machine's in the chat. It's good to see him too. He's a big piece of this puzzle. I know Lori's been around for quite a while. So I'm glad to see Lori's in the chat with us tonight as well. A lot of you have. And so I'm just letting you guys know, Shane and I, Tammy, Denise, we'll all plan something special for that anniversary date, which will come. It'll come before the drawing. So we'll do the anniversary, and then at the end of the month, we'll do the drawing for all the coins and all the prizes and stuff we like to give away here at LWN. And that's just our thank you back to you guys for all the support for this last year and for each month that you guys continue to support this channel. So with that being said, I do have our co-host for the night is in chat, or in the waiting room, I should say. He's looking sharp tonight. He's he's probably a little nervous, but he's throwing his hands up and shaking his head, but he'll be all right. We'll get through it tonight, even with technical difficulty. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in our special guest. Let him turn his phone off. All right, here we go.
Can you hear me?
Yep. How's it going, Cam?
Oh my gosh, it has been the last 40 minutes. You know when you get really nervous and it feels like your arms are going numb?
Yes, I do.
Oh, the whole computer basically. So Apple decided to send me an update to this new, you know how they send you new updates and stuff. And what was happening is none of my other stuff that we'd set up under Big Sur was working. So
Yeah.
Rob had to go in there and basically, I mean, it was, oh God, the past 40 minutes, he's been in there like rapidly moving around.
Mhm.
So we've got it now. So
He
hi,
does
everybody.
he does the same thing for me, and we couldn't get my mic to work for Podbean a few weeks ago, and he had to go in there and figure it out. And
Right.
I get nervous every time we get on there together and start working through the program, because he works for a living, and rightfully
Right.
so. He's out there running his business, and so when he's got a minute to help, he jumps in to help, and then the whole time I'm sitting there just watching the clock.
Right. Well,
Like,
right. And I
all
do
right,
want
we
to,
got an hour to go. All right, we got 40 minutes to go. Oh, we got 30 minutes to go. I got to start the intro in 20 minutes. And
right.
he's always, how much time do we got? How much time do we got? But
Well,
he's always gracious and very helpful when he's helping us.
I really want to send him a shout out. I'm sure you condone this. I texted him earlier. It was about, yeah, well, it was about 6:45, and I told him I just can't get anything to respond, and he was like, "Give me 5 minutes. I'll be home. I'm going to see if I can leave the job." And I was like, "No, no, you don't have to do that." And of course, I told you this is the one day Verizon is completely went haywire, and Verizon, my service has been at one borrow day, so that was going to be my backup. I told you,
Mm-hmm.
and sure enough, 5 minutes later, he was home and like on it. So I just want to say, Dr. Rob is a
Yep.
superhero to us creators and YouTubers.
He is. I'm
He does.
telling you, he is one of the best guys on the internet when it comes to all the software and stuff to help you. And I get frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
and Rob's like, Rob always tells me, Alan, I call him Alan.
Right.
You call him Rob, I call him Alan. He says, just breathe, just calm down, just
Oh, he does.
it's okay, it'll be okay. I'm like, man, how do you work under that type of pressure and not just snap? Because he's a cool cat. He's as cool as a cucumber. So if you guys can do me a huge favor and Cam a huge favor, show some love for Alan in the chat, Dr. Rob
Yes.
Allen. Please give him some hearts. Tell him thank you. Without Alan, I can tell you right now, LWN would not be where it's at today without Alan, without War Machine, without all the people that help us out here behind the scenes. They're such a critical part of having the nice stuff that we have. I mean, the background here that War Machine made for me is truly amazing. And you know, your background there, I'm sure Alan probably picked that out, because
Yep.
that's something that he would pick out, and it
Yep.
looks amazing. It just makes you feel like you're that much higher on the level of being a professional, instead of like when I first started out in the cockpit of a nuclear submarine.
Right. Right. Well,
uh,
he cares about he cares about if he cares about you, he cares about your reputation in the work you're
yep.
doing, and he goes the extra mile. And this is something I've learned about Rob. He'll take you down to the wire, but he'll get it done.
Yes, he
Like
will.
he just wants to make sure that it's top notch before he
Yep.
lets you go. Like you probably heard it in backstage, he was on the phone with me and he was like, "Is everything good? If anything goes wrong, call me." Like
Yep.
and you know, so yeah, I just want to thank him more. I mean, you can't thank him enough. He's just a
No,
great
you
guy,
can't.
good Christian
I love
guy,
him.
loves all people.
Yep.
There's nobody better to get you up and running. So, by the way, anybody that's wanting to be a YouTuber or has any IT issues, that's where I would go. I'd go to Dr. Rob Allen.
Yeah. He's a gifted individual, and God has definitely blessed him with the knowledge and just given him the great gift of being able to navigate through some of these difficult software and programs. And really, he really sets the bar high, and he's not one of those guys that's just good enough. Like, it's
Right.
not, if it's not to his standard, he won't let it go. So I'm like a good enough guy when it comes to some things. That's good enough. Let's just roll with it. Not Rob. Nope. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it good. So I
Right.
appreciate that. And him and War Machine together as a team. I'm telling you, man. You get those two cats in the same room working on a program. Well, you see my headline hits. That was all. That was
Right.
all. Alan and War Machine came together for that collaboration on my headline hits, and it just really made me look professional, and I appreciate both of them. So
Your show
with that
today
being
was
said,
amazing.
yep, I'm gonna go ahead and open us in prayer, and then we'll get started with this show that we got laid out today. And I think everybody is going to really enjoy what it is that we talk about this evening. So anyway, dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity, this time, this evening to share together, Lord, the experiences and some of the history behind some of those frequently asked questions about Masons, Lord. And just thank you for the opportunity I get to spend with Cam on air tonight, Lord. We lift our brother Shane Phelps up in prayer again tonight, Lord. I just ask that you will put a hedge of protection around Shane, bless him and touch him with your healing hand and restore him back to his health, Lord. Give him the energy to make it through each day. And Lord, we just also want to lift up our brother Alan. And Lord, we just want to show thanks for all that he has done for all of us on every channel across the internet. Because it's not just me and it's not just Cam. Alan has been a big part of everybody's life on multiple channels through the YouTube world, just helping everybody he comes in contact with, Lord. And I just pray that you will continue to bless him um, in his business and in his adventures and everything that he does. And I pray this in your son's precious name. Amen.
Amen. Awesome.
All right, brother. Giddy up. Are you? I mean,
Well, I guess the way we would open this is like you told me you wanted to kind of. So I guess to introduce myself basically, because everybody's gonna be like, "Well, who's this guy?" Well, I'm a third-degree Master Mason. Have been for going on 8 years now, and obviously tonight that's the topic. But obviously, some of you guys know me from my old channel. I'm also a smaller creator, and one of the biggest, I guess, I don't know how to say this, I guess, pressing issue today is the misinformation surrounding what the Freemasons are, what role they played in American history. There's a lot of allegations or accusations of Satanism and and me being part of both of those things. As some of you know, I know for sure the Masons have no dealings with Satanism whatsoever. So I've got a few little things wrote down here today. Like I told Mike earlier, I wanted to start out with some of the good things that Freemasons have done. And actually, some of this may blow some of you guys' minds because you hear a lot of the misinformation, but very rarely do people look into the, sorry to use a disgusting word, but the bowels of history and the roles they played. And had it not been for them, we wouldn't be a Christian free nation, because that's just how big of a foundation they built for the United States of America. So the first one I want to bring up is, oh, sorry if you heard that. Let me mute
yeah,
my
it sounded
phone.
like a turkey.
It
Turkey,
is.
turkey season doesn't start until April 15th here, and you're already on the warpath, tracking them down. It sounds like.
Well, there's Dr. Rob right there. As a matter of fact, he says, angle your camera down more and turn your mic up a little. So hold on.
Do what you're told. Do what you're
Yes,
told.
he's the man. If you want to have a good podcast, you do what he says.
Yep.
Let me move that there. Okay.
There you go. That does look better. Thank you, Alan. Thanks
Is
for
that
telling him. I was wondering that too. It kind of looked like it was looking down on you. Now it looks like it's looking straight at you. So
there we
good
go.
call. Good call on that.
He's on it tonight. He's always on it. But so some of you guys have heard of Fort Mifflin. So I wanted to bring up a very interesting fact about Fort Mifflin tonight. And so Fort Mifflin was basically where the battle was won in the Revolutionary War. Okay. And I'm going to kind of start, and then I'm going to get into symbology, why things were built the way they were, A lot of people think the symbology behind the Freemasons is for Satanism and all this. Mike, I talked to you about that earlier. And really, it's a design system. It's a lot of mathematics. It's architecture. And a lot of their symbols are used to build a lot of their structures. And so Fort Mifflin was actually under British rule. They started the construction of Fort Mifflin, okay? 400 Patriot Freemasons under the rule of Benjamin Franklin, which was a general and also a Freemason, took over that fort, Fort Mifflin. The Masons moved in, and this is where those secrets come in. And I'll break this down. So I'm going to read this. It's Fort Mifflin. They just discovered it 3 years ago. Roughly about 3 years ago, a guy was mowing the lawn at the outside of Fort Mifflin, and one of his tires sunk into the ground on the side of the load-bearing wall, the outside perimeter walls. He got off the mower, looked down, and the whole ground had collapsed into this underground tunnel.
Yeah, sinkhole.
Sinkhole. And this is called the Casement 11 tunnel that spanned underneath of Fort Mifflin. And inside of Fort Mifflin were 120 Freemason Patriot soldiers that were secretively feeding the other soldiers on top ammunition, cannonballs, and all what they needed to continue fighting the war, or fighting the battle at Fort Mifflin. So there was munitions. And what I want to bring up right there is we successfully defeated the Brits and won the Revolutionary War because of the great architecture and designing and planning due to the Freemasons. Because had it not been for that, 400 guys would have never taken over, that would have won that war. But because of the planning that took place. And the reason I bring this up is because you hear all this bad about the Freemasons. You never hear how responsible they were for us being an independent nation and winning that battle, So that was the first thing, I just wanted to bring, and I told you about that. So if you have you want to elaborate on that more, but that's one of the big ones. I mean, they were the war strategist, a superior war strategist, you know what I mean? And they built the building. I don't know if you can see this. My drawing's not great, so bear with me, guys. So I'm going to show you this. So right here, you'll see this little drawing I made. Okay? And it's not, like I said, I'm not the greatest drawer, but the outside walls of Fort Mifflin look just like that. Okay?
Okay.
And the reason they did that is because all the riflemen on the tops of the walls would have 180 degrees of rifle range. They weren't limited like they would be with a straight wall. People could get up close to the wall, right? So if people ran into the wall with it designed like that, every rifleman on 4 points had 180 degrees, okay? And they modeled it. Guess what? They modeled it after the Masonic symbol.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to show you guys that. So there's another lie. Oh, the Masonic symbol means, the all-seeing eye. It's a satanic pentagram. No, it's not. It's actually a symbol that they go by, geometry, the G in the middle, and they build a lot of their monuments after it. Pyramids, buildings, the Washington Monument, all their stuff is built off of that. So there's the
So let me ask you this question then. Were you taught this history once you became a Mason, or is this stuff you Googled or stuff you read in the history books? Where did you gather your information that you're sharing with us tonight?
You learn the first part of it. Okay, so you go through your degrees. This I'll say on here because you can pretty much find this on the internet. Like I told you, there's some things I won't, and it's not to hide things. It's just having honor for my brothers, and respect. You'll learn it going through your degrees. You learn what that main symbol means. And you learn that the compass and the mallet, those are all the building blocks of the craft. The craft being, back then, was a stonemason, right? Building. Today, since there's no longer a need for us to build these elaborate buildings, you've probably heard this before, now these are the tools to build good men, right? They've changed their motto to a degree. We build,
Mm-hmm.
we make good men better. Um, but yes, I learn it. You learn it through Lodge, which I can't go into that and what parts I study to learn that. And then obviously on your own. I've got a book sitting right here that I'll show you. And this is one of the books that teaches you a lot of the ritual. And I know that's it's a no word, but ritual is basically the equivalent when you go to get baptized at your church. That's a ritual. It's not. Does that make it bad? No. The same thing goes for us. But yeah, I learned it studying on my own, and then also at your different degrees, you receive more knowledge. Basically, they give you examples of things they've done in the past, buildings they've done in the past, and you learn how they applied that and where.
Okay. Some people may be joining us late here, and the question is, are you a Mason yourself? Which I already knew you were before you and I had ever even had our first conversation, simply because if you pull up your right sleeve, there's a nice little thing there on your arm, and I caught on to that real early and noticed. Well,
Yep.
he's got the tattoo, so that tells me he's somehow connected. Because normally people are not going to put that kind of thing on their body unless it means something, right?
Right. You actually can't have any Masonic imagery, symbology, jewelry, anything like that unless you are. They actually have, now, people probably get away with it, but they actually can. It's kind of the equivalent. Let's say somebody stole your logo. You could sue them for, like copyright or something like that. So there's actually a standing guideline that you cannot wear their logos unless you are affiliated. So if you see somebody out there that's wearing, I had a buddy that wore his grandfather's Masonic ring because he loved his grandfather, and he wore it kind of like a memorial type thing. And I told him I can't tell you that's okay, but yeah.
All right, let me say something else real quick to everybody in chat and everybody watching. let me explain something that we're trying to accomplish here with Cam tonight. This is way too much information to be able to get this all in an hour and a half. So I've already committed to Cam and to the producer that we'll do multiple shows on this so that he has the opportunity to answer the questions he can answer and to give you guys an opportunity to ask those questions. So don't feel like if you don't get your question answered tonight, that we're going to just forget about this and not come back to it. So Denise is working hard on getting him, I think, already rescheduled. Listen, Cam has got a lot of information to share with you guys on in my opinion, three very unique topics. This is just one of three, and Cam has got a lot to share with you guys. So be prepared. Cam's going to be on LWN quite a few times with us, sharing his experiences, and I think it's very educational to have him share those experiences with us, so that maybe we can all learn a little bit more instead of just what we're hearing all the time. Because honestly, I've done a lot of research on the Masons before 2020, and I felt like that they were here to help build America. And then 2020 happened, and I started hearing all kinds of crazy stuff, which made me sway my opinion about them, and I didn't know what to believe. And then it got so crazy that I was just like, okay, none of this can, not all of this can be true. And so then we ran into Cam here and had an opportunity to maybe try to set some of the records straight. And so that's what we're trying to do tonight. I think this is a great question asked by Sharon. And the thing is we do have kind of a roadmap of where we want to take this. So I'd like an opportunity to answer this question, but we don't want to get kind of pulled off a topic and derailed here. But I think it's a great question, because if you read in history, or at least what we've been told of history, a lot of our founding fathers were Masons. So if a lot of our founding fathers were Masons, Freemasons, and they did such, in my opinion, a great job of setting up this country and writing the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and all that stuff. How could it be so evil? And if this is a Christian nation and it was built on Christianity and the founding fathers were those builders, I'm confused at times myself, and I just like to try to clarify and clear things up if we possibly can. So the question is, how do you explain the kind of men we know were Masons? They have been established as bad for America.
For me, so
that question's for you, brother.
Okay, hopefully I hit this the best that I can. Basically, what I'm going to start out saying is there's bad people in everything. Okay, I know that probably doesn't seem, but it is. To sit here and say there hasn't been somebody that was bad for a motorcycle club or bad for the church. Everybody has went to a church where there's that alcoholic guy that misrepresents and falls way, 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 way short of God's grace. Okay, do you convict the whole church of wrongdoing? Or do you hold the one person accountable? So I'll start out with that first. So I think that's what you're kind of saying. How do we know who's who? Because they've got a bad rap, maybe because of these people. And my rebuttal to that is I just gave you one example, and like Mike said, there are example after example after example of where the Masons basically helped you be free, helped you be able to have the Christian religion. And I don't want to kind of fall off, but right there, winning the battle at Fort Mifflin. We would not be America had it not been for Benjamin Franklin and his strategizing. Okay? And so, not to go off on this because I'm saving this for another one, but what you guys have learned from is where the Jesuits infiltrated the Freemasons. And just to give you, if you want to read before the next episode we do, read up the Knights Templar and the Roman Empire, the Roman Catholic Church, and what they did to the Knights Templar, which were basically soldiers for Jesus Christ. They beheaded them. They murdered them. Okay? They killed the very people that were trying to preserve the legacy that was Jesus Christ. And then they started spewing out all these lies about Freemasons in an attempt to do what they're doing. Because if you read the history books, you're going to hear more of what I'm going to go over tonight, which we just have 3 or 4 points tonight, and there's going to be more to come, that they were basically the ones that paved the way for America to be born and exist. And like Mike said, how could that be a bad thing? How is anything that Benjamin Franklin did bad when the result was a free and God-fearing country away from British rule?
I also look at it this way because there's comments in there that Benjamin Franklin was not a Christian man. Men and women can be used by God regardless of they're Christian or not. God uses people. And that includes Benjamin Franklin or anyone else in our history. It's definitely apparent to me that these people have been instruments of God or vessels of God. And I think a lot of people are afraid of what they don't know. And so, when we talk about the Freemasons having a lot of secrets and all the secret society, the cross and bones, and this society and that society, and all the secrets, because they're secretive, that breeds a lot of fear in people because they're just like, well, there's all these secrets. So I don't know. Are they good or are they bad? I don't have an answer for that. I mean, there's a lot of secrets out there. There's secrets in government. There's secrets in church. I mean, don't think for a minute that you're going to church and that there aren't some secrets behind closed doors, because there's secrets behind closed doors. Yep. So there's a lot of secrets out there.
Going back to the battle, the Battle of Fort Mifflin, Okay, had the secrets been divulged, would we have been victorious? Probably not, because the enemy would have known the secret. So sometimes secrets are needed. Sometimes they're needed. Our military is not going to go out and say, hey, this is what we plan to do. Because then the whole world's going to know. It's a very ineffective plan now. And it's simply put, yes. But just like you said, Mike, a lot of people, when they don't know, when they can't know something, you want to start a conspiracy, like conspiracy theories, start a club of your own, and then tell certain people that they can't be members.
Yeah.
They'll go create their own version of what's going on behind them closed doors. And that's what's happened. And, so that's basically my answer to that question. You nailed it before I did. So, I mean, you've got common sense.
Well, here's another great question, and I'm going to grab B-Cat's question here because I've already answered. I already asked this question earlier off air because, we start looking at the design of DC. And we know that DC is not part of the United States. It's obviously foreign soil. Okay, we know that to be true. I find the construction of DC unique. It's got all kinds of, man, I've done some really deep research on that, down to the way monuments line up at the 33rd degree and all kinds of stuff, right? We've been told that the owl is satanic. It's a symbol of Satanism and all this stuff, right? We have been told in the last 2 years a lot of stuff. And I look at it like I look at a lot of things we've been told in last year. There's a lot of truths. There's a lot of disinformation. There's a lot of misinformation. And there's a lot of lies. So we're just trying to figure out what's truth and what's lies. And Washington, D.C. was laid out in a satanic symbol, which is the owl. How can that be a good thing?
Well, first off, it wasn't laid out as a satanic symbol. It was laid out as a pentacle. The pentacle being the shape that it just happened to be, going back to the Masonic symbol, which is not a satanic star. It's a series of compasses, mallets, and the G standing for geometry. So call it a coincidence, if you will, but it is not a satanic star. It has nothing to do with Satanism. It goes back, just like I said, when they built Fort Mifflin. They built it after the model that they build everything after. And it's not a satanic star. That came in, which I'm not going to get into this episode because, like I said, or like Mike said, we're going to have more episodes, and I will get into DC. That's coming up, and we're going to get into the Jesuits. We're going to get into a little bit of the Underground Railroad tonight. That's actually the next one I'm going to bring up, and then why they did that the way that they did. Why do they build the structures the way that they do? Why do they line up the way that they do? But I assure it's not satanic. Because if DC was satanic, then Fort Mifflin would be satanic too, because it's in the shape of a pinnacle. But Fort Mifflin was actually responsible for, again, the United States gaining its freedom from Britain. So, the British. So, that's my answer to that question, because I don't want to really go into the next episode during this one.
Yeah,
right
correct.
now.
And listen, and I appreciate everybody's opinion in chat. I knew this was going to be a split audience tonight. It's kind of like Flat Earth. I brought Flat Earth Dave on. I got 50% of the people that believe in Flat Earth, and I got 50% of the people that believe the Earth is round. And everybody has a right to their own opinion and however they came to form that opinion. So we're going to have people in chat that think that Freemasons are all bad people, and we're going to have people that, like myself, I find it very fascinating and interesting, like I do Flat Earth. I find some of their theories interesting. It doesn't mean I have to believe in them. I like to learn as much as I can. So I've been researching Freemasons probably close to 15 years. I know there's a lot of Masonic lodges around the area I used to live. I never entered one. I considered it a few times just to check it out, see what it was all about. So being able to have somebody like you on here, Cam, with us, to try to tell us what you can tell us anyway, and your experiences, I think, will help some people, and it may answer some of their questions, and it may cause people to have more questions than answers.
Right.
So that happens a lot too. So anyway, um, where would you like? So would you like to hit? Um, would you like to hit the slavery part of this?
Yes.
Is that the next topic? All right.
Well, the slavery, the reason I wanted to do that, because we're living in a very racially charged time, and it's, I mean, even if the Freemasons didn't exist, that would still be a situation, that would still be something. But I told
Mm-hmm.
you a story around here, around the Cincinnati area. Um, um, the African American community, the black community, were very, for whatever reason, I'm sure it's because of misinformation, at least in my opinion, from what I can tell. They were running around and they were spray painting in black paint on these car lots. And I remember, because I helped clean a couple of cars while I was at a car lot one day. I was part of the cleanup crew, and they would run through the town and they would write, "Kill all Freemasons," like all the way down, Highway 128, every car dealership where they had like commercial white vehicles. And they kill all Freemasons. Freemasons are the devil. Freemasons are evil. And so this is kind of taking traction too, right? That the Freemasons are racist, they're evil, they're satanic, they're this, that, and the other. So I wanted to bring up the Underground Railroad, because most of you, if you read your research, the Underground Railroad started its roots in Concord and in Boston, both places in Massachusetts. And it was a series of underground tunnels that would go from businesses and plantations, okay? And then I'm about to go over this with you. So, again, the Freemasons were responsible for freeing more slaves than you'll realize. So the fact that people running around saying they're evil and racist is absolutely upside down on its head. Because first off, what I want to mention is the Prince Hall Freemasons, which are all black Freemason lodges. Okay, and they're called the Prince Hall. So first off, the first debunker there is, if Freemasons were racist, then why do we have our own black community of brothers within us? Okay, it just doesn't exist. Racism doesn't exist in the lodges. My local lodge, we had an Islamic guy, obviously Indian from the Middle East. We have African American people, we have Latino people, and we all treat each other like brothers. There is no pecking order. And just to throw a quick side note in there, all these people that sit here and say, well, that's because you're not 33rd degree. Well, my stepdad was. My stepdad went to Washington, D.C., to the Grand Lodge of the United States of America, and was inducted as an honorary 33rd degree. And he never, he was alive when I became a Mason, so he could tell me all the secrets. Okay, nothing that I'm hearing people talk about ever took place. Ever. Again, that doesn't mean that some Freemason somewhere that should have never became one in the first place didn't slip through the cracks, do something bad, and possibly put a blemish on the face of a lodge somewhere. But to go into the Underground Railroad, this goes back into Benjamin Franklin again. You want to go ahead and get this one, that question, Mike?
Well, I'm just throwing that up for Denise, so Denise can see it better. Okay. I'm putting it up there so Denise can see it better, and if she has to, she can go back and watch this again. Here's something that I probably should throw out real quick.
Okay.
Because I don't think anybody is perfect by any means, and I would venture to say that there were probably Freemasons back in the day that probably owned slaves. Okay, but I think a lot of people did that back in those days, and that doesn't make any of that right. But what I appreciate you doing here, Cam, is enlightening us to the fact that in a time when that was a pretty normal thing to have back in those days, there were a lot of people that disagreed with it. A lot of people,
Right.
and they wanted those people to be free. They were human beings. They were equal to us. And so the Masons stepped up and joined that cause to
Hmm.
try to free those people that so desperately deserve to be free here in America.
Right. And then the other thing, and I think you'll understand what I'm basically asking here, is what is the definition of owned slave? Because just when Mike just said what he said, it was common practice back then, right? That you would take these people from this other country and you would hire them to work at your home, or you would hire them to do whatever. I know a lot of Southern people still to this day. My wife's grandmother, she's in her late 70s, and she can remember they had a wonderful black woman. They loved her like family. She was at every Thanksgiving dinner. They bought her Christmas presents. They paid her. They bought her new cars. They took care of this woman, not like she was a slave, but back in the day, that was called owning somebody. If somebody drove by your house and you had someone that was black doing your gardening, well, they own a slave. Well, wait a minute. What if they just hired that person? So,
Mm-hmm.
we got to kind of define that. We got to define that, because everybody sits here and says, well, everybody owned slaves. Did they? Or did some people hire slaves?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Okay,
And
it's
and I saw a great comment in chat that said, "We are the slaves right now," and it feels that way to me a lot of times. I feel like we are slaves right now. We're slave to the system. We're slave to the government, and it's time for us to flip that switch, to rise up and have our voices be heard, and to legally and peacefully demand demand our country back. And
right,
I think it's going to take each and every one of us to get to that point, because we are slaves.
right. Well, I wanted to. If you guys want to know about the tunnels and just what Benjamin Franklin did, I told you a little bit earlier. But again, the Underground Railroad was basically first started with Ben Franklin, and he funded it by himself. And all the Freemasons took part in it. And it's known Ben Franklin was a known abolitionist. So if you guys read in your history, it'll say it. There's documentation, facts, and proof. So they built the underground tunnels from Concord, Boston, okay? And they built a tunnel. It's still there today. It's closed off. Some of it's caved in. There are still underground tunnels that go from Boston and from Concord to the local Grand Central Station, where these Freemasons would go and rescue these slaves, okay? They would go rescue the slaves, take them to Concord, Boston, put them in plantations, sneak them through the underground tunnels, and get them on the trains and pay for them to be taken to Canada so they could be free. And this was all funded out of Benjamin Franklin's back pocket. So I wanted to say that because there's just another point. There's point two. This whole satanic and racism thing that you're hearing going around today, when we have facts that this happened, this is documented. So if he was really doing a lot of good for reasons I don't understand. What was his motive? If he was really this nefarious character, then why was he freeing slaves? And why was he fighting the war against the British? Why was he doing all these things? Why did so many Freemasons write our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence? The rights that we have today that still make us free were written by our founders, our forefathers that were Freemasons. There's just so you know what I'm saying, Mike. It's just, there's just so much good they did, and I feel and I'll kind of speak on my own here because I don't want to speak for anybody else, but it is kind of it does kind of get to me a little bit. It's like all somebody has to say is Satanism, and then bam, you ruin the reputation of people that are responsible for our freedom today. And so anyway, that's the second part that I wanted to bring up. So if anybody has questions on that, or but you can go read and find that. I mean, it's
Well,
facts.
here's a point. Here's a point I'd like to make. Okay, I'm not saying I'm on one side of this or the other. This is what I will say. Remember Trump. Remember the conservative and patriot movement, and remember people that fear Trump and fear the patriot movement. What do? They go out and they say Trump's racist.
Yep.
The patriots are racist. Pedophilia gets thrown around quite a bit. So there are tag words that are constantly being tagged to all kinds of different organizations to character assassinate them, to be honest with you. And I've been through it myself.
Right.
So could the Freemasons be, I won't call them a victim, but could they be another organization that has been tagged certain names like that just because people fear them or they don't like them being part of a movement or a patriot movement or doing certain things? Just remember that, folks. The Democrat Party is famous for tagging all of us certain names when they don't like what we stand for, what we believe in. They don't like our morals or our values. They don't like Christianity. So they'll tag us all kinds of different names. And is this a possibility? I'm throwing this out there to all you guys who have questions. Is it a possibility that the Freemasons have also, in this time that we're fighting for our lives, have been tagged this same thing? I'm just asking the question.
Right. Well, I seen a comment up there, and how you doing, Cindy Fuller? I had IT issues, as Mike knows, and my phone service has been down. But there will be. She wanted me to post basically receipts of all this, and I do have it. I have absolute receipts. I was trying to send it to Mike, but my internet's still not working. So as soon as I get it to you, that might be something, Mike, you'd want to drop in your description box. But there's a 40-minute video
Okay.
that basically backs up everything I'm saying right now, and you guys will have access to that. And I'm going to give that to Mike. So what I'm saying here is not my opinion. This is all in the history books. This is all factual things that happened. There's proof all around. And the problem here is kind of what Mike just said. People will rather just take what they hear, or they'll make these assumptions because they're meaning to make them, right? They don't like you, so they make something about you, but they don't read any further into it. They don't do their own history. They don't do their own investigation into it. And I think that's what gets us here. It just kind of bothers me that even when you get somebody that talks, people still doubt them, and you should be a little bit reserved, and you should do your own research. But sorry about that. But I wouldn't be saying the things I'm saying right now just off the cuff. Where would I get that from? So yes, there will be that, and I'll get it to Mike, and I'm sure he would love to share it with you guys. I just haven't. Here it is. I'm going to send it to you right now, Mike. If you want to drop that in the chat, actually, whatever you want to do. But this is a video I recommend everybody watch. It's just taken a while because my service I don't know what's going on. But I'll get that to you as soon as it stops acting up.
There's lots of great questions in chat, and I'm not sure if those are questions we answer tonight or if we wait until we do another episode as you're going through this stuff to answer some of these questions, so we don't get drug off topic. But there's questions about the Freemasons Bible. I think that's a fair question. I don't know how much you can answer. I don't know anything about it.
Hold on just a second.
There's questions about the Georgia Guidestones. I don't know if the Freemasons had anything to do with that.
Has nothing to do with them.
Albert Pike. We all know who Albert Pike is. I don't know if he was a Freemason or what he was, but Albert Pike, I remember him from history. Just Is it true that the Illuminati infiltrated the Masons? I mean, that's another great question. And I know that you want to talk on it. I just don't know if tonight's the night for you to talk about some of
I'll
that
say
stuff.
one thing on it as like I guess it was prelude would be the right word, and to the segue into the next one. No, Illuminati started around the late 1700s, early 1800s. I think it was 1827 when the first group of men got together and they were established. The Freemasons are over 5,000 years old. So my question to people out there that think the Illuminati somehow infiltrated the Freemasons when the British government and military couldn't do it, when people to this day still haven't been able to do it, how the Illuminati did. And number two, why would the Freemasons have any interest in the Illuminati when they're 5,000 years old? The Illuminati came way after. And, you know, a completely different, they're more on par with what I'll tell you, Skull and Bones. A group of elitist academics, world leaders, things like that. That was the Illuminati's idea. Basically, the best way I could say that, like Bilderberg Group or the Tarsus Club, things like that. Illuminati has nothing to do with Freemasonry, period. The only similarities, in symbolism that they have in common is the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. And I think that that's probably responsible for a lot of the misconception, because people see with their eyes first. Their ears aren't even open. They see it and bam, that's what it is, right? So you got the Masonic symbol over here, and you got the all-seeing eye that's actually the top of the pillar. That's all I'm going to say about that. You guys have probably seen that piece of, it's like a column, and then it's got the all-seeing eye at top. And that's basically what the all-seeing eye means, and I'll tell you this, is we call, so is Masonry Satanic? You see that? Holy Bible. No, we study the Holy Bible in the lodge. And every time we say prayer, we say Jesus. So at least at mine and every lodge I've ever been to. But the grand architect of the universe is God. Okay, so the all-seeing eye is basically God to us, not Satan, not the Illuminati. What the Illuminati uses it for, I have no idea. I'm not an Illuminati. And as far as I know, they don't even really exist. In all my trying to find them, and I actually did this before, I sent the Illuminati webpage emails before trying to get somebody to respond to me, and I've never had any correspondence with any of them. So as far as I know, that's just gained a lot of hype in Hollywood. As you know, Mike, you've seen a lot of the celebrities are starting to do this type of stuff in photos, and everybody says, oh, Freemasons, and it has nothing to do with it. In our lodge, Holy Bible, right there it is.
So they're asking what the symbol is on the front of that Bible. It's the Mason.
A Freemason symbol. It's the same one that's tattooed on my arm. Geometry, compass and level, compass and square. Mm-hmm. It's not a satanic symbol. These are tools. And the G stands for geometry. So just to show you that, we do not study
Satanism. How many chapters are in that Bible? Do you know?
I don't know right offhand. Let me see. I have cross-referenced it with my King James, and it's pretty accurate.
You know, I'm finding chat very interesting in this topic, because I've got people saying that they grew up in the Masonic Lodge and never experienced one single satanic thing. Right. I've got other people making other comments on the other side of this issue. Again, it's very confusing at times, and nobody ever said that you were an expert in this, Cam, whatsoever. We're just trying to give you his experience and to try to answer some of the questions that we can. And I think it's an interesting topic. Like I said, I'm not swayed one way or another. I am interested in what Cam has to share with us, and then I'll form my own opinion, you know, and it may not be after this show. It may take 2 or 3 of them before I can dive deeper into some of this stuff that you're telling us about and be able to come up with my own conclusion instead of just listening to whoever's spouting out a bunch of stuff out there. Frankly, it's disturbing to know that people can just make all kinds of allegations,
Right.
and people believe every word they say. So it's
Well,
the way of the world, it seems like nowadays.
that's why we're where we're at right now. You know,
There's a
because
good question. Let me grab Scad Warrior 2's. How many levels are there in the Freemasons? I thought it was 33.
No. I went over this with okay, hold on. I'm going to do this because since so many people in there are telling me I need to read more, I know a couple people I've seen comments in there. It's them that needs to read more. Because
they're asking, is there 66 books does that Bible have all 66 books in the Holy Bible? I think that's a great question.
Yeah, mine does. Yes, I do know that because I've went book by book with my King James. It's in there. The only difference is this is NIV, and then my King James is my King James. This all goes all the way from Genesis to Revelation. At least mine does.
Man, I see people in chat I've never even seen before chiming in on this topic. So welcome, you guys. As long as we're all being respectful to one another, you can have a difference of opinion here. You may not believe in the Freemasons, and you may believe in the Freemasons. This is just a nice conversation, and we want to keep it respectful.
Brian Bailey, I do have a title, and I'm an absolute Freemason. I don't have my wallet up here. On the second episode, I'll show you guys proof I'm a Freemason because I think there's some people in there questioning whether I am or not. I'm an actual international card holder. But anyhow, there are levels. So this is what I'm going to go over with you guys. So just hold on. And I did this for Denise. Denise and I went over it because I wanted to show her another misconception about most people. They only hear of 3rd, 32nd, and 33rd, right? I've seen some people out there sit there. One person was really uneducated, and they said 42nd degree, and I was like, there's no such thing as a 42nd degree at all. It doesn't exist. So let
me ask you this question. Is there a 666 degree?
No.
Okay.
Well, right. How they're doing that is by adding and subtracting and multiplying the already degrees. The 3, 3, 3, 3 multiplied by 3, 3, 6. You know, that's how they're doing that. 3 plus 3 is 6. So the technically what they say the Masons are trying to hide on the pyramid is every point of the pyramid is actually a 6. And if you go over to the look this up on Google. If you go over to Google and you look up the triangle with 6s on every corner, it's actually a satanic symbol. So people go and grab that, they bring it back over to Freemasonry, and they go, oh, 33rd degree. Oh, if I do math long enough, I can make this satanic. And there's not. So right here is all of the possible, right here, of what you can be in Freemasonry, and not one of them is 666 or 42. None of them. But I'm going to tell you a few that you probably never heard of. There's 3rd degree all the way through 32 and 33. 33 is actually an honorary title. So it's basically you've done everything else you can do. Okay? You've learned all your knowledge, just like with reading the Bible in church. Okay? The preacher is kind of the equivalent. A preacher in a church would be like the equivalent of a 33rd in a Masonic lodge. Okay, he knows pretty much all of it. That's not me. I'm not that. But there's a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, a 7th, an 8th, all the way up. Those are the degrees. But no, Mike, there is no 666, and there is no. The other question I heard in there was, what was it? something about 33rd. I'll have to think of it. But anyway, what's the benefits of joining? The benefits of joining: brotherhood, charitable works. I donate, and we donate a lot of money to the Shriners Hospital, the Shriner Children's Burn Hospital over in Cincinnati. We do works. We go. A lot of my brothers go and see those kids. They're horribly burnt. They were next to death. Their parents didn't have enough money to fix their children, and the Freemasons funded all of their medical bills, and none of the bill goes to the parents. So there's a big benefit. You want to make a difference in the world. You want to help people. You want to do good works, godly things for people. That's helping kids. That's doing work in your community, helping families in need. Cindy, well, Mike, do you know the answer to that one?
I'm going to say no, but I have no clue.
Yes, women can be, just not technically Freemasons, but they can be in the Eastern Star.
Okay.
The Eastern Star is the female, version of it. There are differences, but not many. There are no levels of Shriners. There's just being a Shriner. You have to go through the levels to become a Shriner. So a Shriner, the Shriners are basically when you get done with your Scottish Rite. There's one way you can get there by your York Rite, but basically most Shriners went up their Scottish Rite journey, and they're the ones that had to go through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to degrees, and then they become a Shriner. So there isn't levels of a Shriner. There are additional, how I describe people to it, because I'm not going to tell you what they are. There are some things I'm going to keep secret, and people are just going to assume that that's because it's evil, and that's fine. But there are the equivalent of like a merit badge for Boy Scouts. So you become a Shriner, you do extra charitable works, you volunteer at the Shriners Hospital, for example, is one of them. Yeah, if you ever go to a Shriners Hospital, Children's Hospital, you'll see those guys standing there with those funny hats on. And what they're doing is they're going around and they're talking and playing with those kids. They're entertaining those children, because those children sometimes have to stay at those hospitals for a year and two, going through skin grafts and debrazing, very painful treatments. And Masons try to make their lives a little bit better and donate toys and activities for them.
Okay. The question before this was, do you know anything about the deep state? And then Bruce brought this question up as well.
Some of you guys in here probably know D-Dog. Mike, I know you know him. I spent the last 2 years on my old channel, CamTube, talking about deep state politics, conspiracy theories, and I spent 2 years trying to get out what I knew. And I didn't know everything. I'm just saying my opinion, my views on things. And it got me nowhere. Generally, the people that are going to listen will listen, and they'll act, and they'll do what they can to help the situation. And about 90% of the rest of them are just there to listen, and they're not doing anything. So I used to follow and follow things with the deep state. Anymore, no, I don't, because it's not a solution. I'm with D-Dog on this. You want a solution for this country? Then go start following affidavit mamas. Go start printing off these affidavits, finding out if your sheriff is constitutional. You got all these mandates in your area. Sorry, Mike, I don't know if I can say that, but you got all these things in place in your area. Okay? Then make your sheriff stand up and be a sheriff. That's a solution. Sitting here wondering what the deep state's going to do, they're going to do it regardless if you know about it or not. Do something about it. So I'm more solution-based, more so now. But that's all I can say to that. No, I don't follow the deep state anymore. To be honest, I don't even care. I'm getting busy making a difference in my community. I'm going to be running for office in 2024. So that's going to be another Republican in the state of Indiana making decisions that are best for the people and the citizens. And that's what you guys should do.
So Rogue's question is, what is the main mission or purpose of the Masons?
Well, like I said before, it's faith, hope, and charity. And I just gave you an example with the Shriners Hospital, and that's what it is. It's brotherhood. It's faith, hope, charity. It's giving people hope. It's doing charitable things in your community. It's donations. We had a guy that passed away here in our town a few years ago, and the Freemasons pulled together enough money to pay his wife and his family's house off, so she no longer has a mortgage.
And so the Masons help more than just kids, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. This guy was over 50 years old, and he died from cancer, and his wife was left with all the expenses of his burial. You know what I'm talking about, the whole burial, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And their house wasn't paid off, so the Freemasons pulled together and said, we're going to pay it all off for her. So doesn't sound too evil to me. It sounds like they want to help people, and they're doing the work that most of us should be doing. So the benefits of Masons, if you want to be somebody that makes a difference in your community, you're being the change that you want to see in the world. That's the benefit. All this secrecy, becoming a millionaire, all this, nope. I've never been given money. I've never been given top security clearance or given knowledge that makes me understand the world differently than Mike or anybody else in the chat. I've just been encouraged to be good to other people, be charitable, have a strong faith in God, and be impactful in your community. Change the world for the better. Build better men. Take care of our women and kids. That's the benefits of it. And it's worked numbers for me.
Here's another pretty good question from Mary Kay. If you run for office, are Masons in your area under oath to vote for you?
No. Another common misconception that Masons are supposed to do whatever another Mason wants them to do, and that's completely false. There's actually a couple Masons at my lodge. We get along because we're brothers, but we don't hang out past that. I disagree with them politically, and we're no different than anybody else. No.
Okay.
There's no favoritism in that way.
So wasn't there another topic you wanted to try
Yes.
to hit tonight? Go ahead,
well, there's
brother.
actually there's another point to the Fort Mifflin, but there's one more good thing. Maybe not to a lot of people, but I thought this was very interesting because I just found this one out recently. Again, Benjamin Franklin, what do you know, right? He was very active in the eastern United States and building a lot of the creature comforts we have today, right? You know, safety, security, monuments, buildings, tunnels, waterways. And so Benjamin Franklin paid 1,000 pounds. Now, back then it was still pounds. You know that, Mike, before America. This was, back in the beginning times. Ben was dedicated to the betterment of his community. So what he did is he took $1,000 or 1,000 pounds, gave it to the city. Back then it was probably like a town or something, or village of Philadelphia, to have a municipal water works built. And this was the first actual, what would you call that? Like a waterworks in the United States at the time, where it was a series of underground, the Masons built it. In this video that I'm going to give Mike the link for, you'll see it in that video. They built it, constructed it, and it was basically held fresh water. And it was a delivery system. And it was basically the beginnings of the first fresh water, because he knew it was vital to growing the city of Philadelphia, right? If you're going to grow a big city, you need to have water. You need to have electricity. So Benjamin Franklin funded the first waterworks in the United States out of his own pocket, and the Freemasons built it. So I wanted to bring that up, and it was built by a man by the name of Benjamin Latrobe, which was also a Freemason. He headed the project, and he built the waterworks, and he also built a majority of, and I didn't want to write those down and take up all kind of time because there's a ton of them, in D.C. So the person who built a lot of the buildings, the Washington Monument, you know what I'm talking about, Mike. So all the, a lot of the buildings in the Capitol were built under the supervision of Benjamin Franklin, and Benjamin Latrobe was the overseer of it. So, and this system was way ahead of its time. So when you guys check out this link, it was basically a modern day waterworks, and we're talking almost, over 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Very brilliant
neat.
people, very smart people. And they had capabilities back then that we're probably just now seeing now in a lot of ways, to be quite honest. Yeah, and that's pretty much it right there. And I wrote at the bottom, and what I want to tell you guys to like ease your mind, because another thing, and you've heard this, Mike, is all the symbols and the signs and the sign language. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go give that to people here. I'm not going to do that. But if you look hard enough, you can find some of it online. Going back to the slavery point, the secret codes and gestures of the Freemasons helped them free the slaves. Can you imagine why that helped, Mike? I'll ask you that question.
Well, I would say that if I had to think logically, it was a way of communicating that other people didn't understand.
Right. Because if you got, let's say, 100 slaves that you're trying to free, how do you know the guy that you're taking them to is truly, safe for you to pass them off to him? Well, we had secret handshakes, we had secret gestures, and we would know. That's how we would know that we're dealing with someone on our level, in our group of people. So that's pretty much it for tonight. I just figured you guys, most people probably never heard of the three things I talked about tonight. I know a couple people, like the producer for your show, Mike, she didn't know all this stuff. So, there's just a few good things right there, and there's more to come. And like I said, Mike, I don't expect to convert anybody, or not convert, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Convince.
I don't expect to convince. I told you on the phone earlier. Some people, they're just going to believe what they believe. That's it. There's going to be no. I mean, look at the political, playing field today. You can try to convince somebody that Mr. T did a good job. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. They won't have a single fact. They won't have any evidence, but yet they believe that he's absolutely evil. And so the same thing goes for any other topic, right? Any other. And I think you got to have a thick skin, especially being in my shoes. Like you know my affiliations and some of the places that I've been and seen.
Yep. Here's a couple more good questions. And even after spending 2 hours with Flat Earth Dave, I still believe the Earth is round. So I know what you speak of there. Here's a good question, Cam. How do people join? And then I got another question I'd like for you to try to address if you can.
Okay.
But I'll wait till you do this one here.
You don't join. You don't join. And a big part of this, I'll start out with an example, and you guys in the chats can answer this question if you want to. If you were starting, let's say, your own business, are you just going to go out and start snatching people up and putting them in high positions or critical positions? Or are you going to kind of, sift, try to find the best? People that have good moral standing and character, that are trustworthy. So this goes back into, you just don't join. It's not like people can walk up and say, hey, I want to be one. Where's the application? The motto we go by is ask one to be one. Okay, so if one of you guys know a Freemason in your local area, you simply just ask them, and you'll go through a series of, you cannot be a felon. That's what I'll tell you. You can't have any misdemeanors that are violent. If you've ever been convicted of any violent crime, anything to do with kids, if you're actually, there's a lot more than that. But if you guys will find out when you go there. So you got to be pretty morally, and I know a lot of people look at me and they're like, oh my God, he's, but yeah, you gotta be a good person. You gotta be trustworthy to them, but you don't join. There is no joining. There's being initiated, and you go through a series of background investigations, and you go through interviews with the higher ups, and they visit with you multiple times. They get to know you. They don't just interview you like a job does. They'll say, okay, that's enough for tonight. We'll see you next week on Tuesday. And you'll sit there for another hour and talk to them again. They're basically going through a personality test on you in person, in real time. And if they see anything that is unbecoming of someone that's in their ranks, then you just, you know what I mean? They might overlook you. But no, you don't join.
Okay. Here's something that I would like to address, and that is, if you say you can't say something, then you're guilty of bad things. I totally 100% disagree with that. I've been in church and people have said, well, I can't really speak on that. And that doesn't mean that the person in church did bad things. So I'm sorry, but I have to totally disagree with that statement. Just because somebody says that I can't say anything on that does not automatically make them guilty of anything nefarious or bad. That is that's not a good statement.
Well,
All
that's
right.
kind of crazy because everybody would be convicted of a crime today if we operated off
Exactly.
that system.
I mean the person that even made that statement, I'm sure in their lifetime has had to say, "Oh, I can't say something about that."
Right.
That doesn't mean you did anything bad either. So let's move on to a pretty hairy topic. It was a question. It was a comment that was thrown in chat, and that's child trafficking, human trafficking, ties to Freemason. You already kind of said something about that when they interview you. You're not allowed to have any kind of
None.
felonies or anything to do with children or any of that thing. But would you like to address that?
Yeah, I'll just simply say that anybody within our ranks ever got convicted of something like that, ever found to do it, would be excommunicated and handed over to the authorities. They warn you of stuff like that when you come in. You're no. So where that now this is like I say with anything. So I'll go ahead and make the people that think they are traffickers happy for a second. That's not to say somebody who's ever been in the ranks of the Freemasons hasn't done something wrong. But I'm here to tell you right now, whether you choose to believe me or not, that's fine. That's up to you. None I've ever known did that. None. Not one Mason I've ever run into was less than a good person or just like the rest of us. So no. I've read up on it a little bit. Yes, there's a couple people that were Freemasons. I think I was reading about one guy out in California that was convicted having child, on the internet. I don't want to say the tag. You know what I'm talking about. Inappropriate visuals of children on the internet. I would almost be 100%. I'd bet money that he's no longer a Freemason. He's no longer associated with any of them either. When somebody does something bad, that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Patriot VW. I agree with that too. Public servants and organizers, we have a right to know. I totally agree with that statement. So maybe I misread or whatever. I apologize if I did. Cam, how do you feel about taking 2 or 3 phone calls and questions? Are you all right with that?
I mean, as long as it's something I can answer. But yeah, I don't mind.
Okay. All right. I'll drop the link. Any of you, I'll take about 2, maybe 3 callers tonight. As long as you're respectful to my guest, you can ask your questions, and if he can answer them, he'll answer them for you. If he can, he can't. But there's the link if anybody wants to jump up here and ask a question or two. I'll take a couple of callers tonight. I don't want to go too far past with an hour of questions, because I think that can it can just take away from the show on what it is that we're trying to do here, which is just put information out for people. So we got Crystal Chetwood with us tonight. How's it going, Crystal?
I'm doing blessed. How are y'all doing?
Very good. Very good.
I just wanted to ask him a question. My father and my grandfather was a Shriner. Is there different degrees in Shriner too?
No, ma'am. Well, like I said before, hold on. Let me pull this up. I'll just tell you because this is something you can read. So just for your knowledge, because you had family, and I think you probably just want to know, right?
Yeah, well, you hear all this going on and stuff and people talking about it, and I've been really worried. I was like, my father and my grandfather was one. Does that make them a bad person?
No, not
at all. And I feel in my heart they're not, because my grandfather, he wrote books about Revelation, and he was a Sunday school teacher and stuff like that. I didn't get to know my dad because he died when I was 5.5, 6 years old. So,
Well, I'll tell you right now, just because of what they were, anybody to make it that high up, I know they were good men, because you don't make it there unless you are approved by people that are, you're held to a much higher standard at that level.
okay.
You have charitable works, helping people out. But so Shriner is the first one, okay? When you get done with your 32nd degree, okay, on your Scottish Rite, you're going to move directly to your Shriner, okay? Now, the extra, basically, entitlements, I've got one over there, but I don't want to leave the screen. I'll show it in the next episode. I've got a couple badges myself.
Okay.
And you'll have honorary 33rd, and then active 33rd, Grand Cross. You can be the Grand Cross, Knight Commander, or the Royal Order of Scotland. Those are the 5 that you can of the honorary titles you can have along with being a Shriner. So have you ever seen a Shriner and they'll have on their chest plate, they'll have the little ribbon medals?
Yeah.
That's all it is. There's no evil, nefarious stuff, but so there's no levels. Your family members were just Shriners, and they were probably just they'd worked all the way up to honorary, is what it was.
Oh, cool. Mike, I got a question for you.
Yes,
I keep trying to go on to join, and I got a different credit card now, and it won't let me change it to be able to do it.
I don't know about that, Crystal. You may have to change your profile. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I can check it. I can check it out for you.
Okay, thank you. Well, y'all have a blessed night. I just wanted to ask that. I've always been, thinking about it. So
yeah. Well, hopefully I helped you understand it. Thank you.
Yes. Y'all have a blessed night.
You too.
You too. Thank you, Crystal.
You're welcome.
All right, we got a couple more callers here. Let's bring in Wonky Rogue. This is our brother Rogue from Kansas. How you doing, Rogue?
What's up?
Oh, hanging in there. Super interesting tonight and everything, and it's taken away a lot of misconceptions of what I have been heard and things. I want to ask Cam 2 things here. One is, I hear you keep speaking on the Scottish Rite and others. What is the difference? And number 2 question, what all organizations are you affiliated with and help out besides the Shriners?
Okay, I won't go into too much on the differences. One I will tell you, to a main one, is your nationality. So a lot of people that are from, Scotland, Ireland, things like that, they tend to take the York Rite route, and a lot of Americans tend to go the Scottish Rite, become Shriners and things. I'm not saying there's not Shriners over there. There's Shriners all around the world. But it's basically, there's nothing more to it than whatever you choose to be your path, what you want to learn about within the Masons, what kind of works and charitable works you want to do. So think of it as training. They're not going to send the Order of the Knights over to the Shriners Hospital. They're going to send the Shriners to there. You know what I mean? That's going to be their primary focus. They're going to put on the fundraisers. They're going to show, you've seen them in the parades in the tiny little cars with their silly hats. That's kind of their thing, just to give an example. I'm not going to go into the, of course, people are going to accuse me of hiding secrets, but it's more so for respect of my brothers. I'm not going to go do that. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And
sorry to put you on the spot there with that question.
No, you're fine, man.
Everything. So basically what you're telling me, each Rite, Scottish, York, etc., has its own function and training of what they need to do.
Right. Like if I wanted to become a lodge master, so that's basically the head. He sits in the the main chair. He's kind of like the judge in the room, right?
Right.
I would take the path appropriate for that, is all I'm saying. If you want to become a Shriner, you take the path appropriate for that. That's pretty much all it is. And some people do that by literally because of their nationality, where they're from in the world, or that's all it is.
Hey,
Nothing.
can they serve two different functions? Or do they have to pick one? I'm not trying to get too nosy or anything. Say if you were a Shriner and I want to go do some Scottish or York stuff, is that possible?
That I've seen people go all the way up one side and then they'll go up the other. There's no limitations on that. No.
Okay.
If you want to switch and you decide you want to go be a lodge master, you can very well go do that. Or you can go from that, go over to Shriner. You're welcome to do anything in there because you're a Mason. You can do all those things. There's no, now the York Rite, there's only one path you can take to become a Shriner if you go up the York Rite side. And then that's
okay.
That's kind of, they have a different MO, so to speak. Now, as far as my affiliations, I think that's what you said, right?
The Freemasons, what all organizations are they affiliated with and help out besides the Shriners?
Tons.
Okay.
Just to ease your mind, though, I'll give you two. So the VFWs, we're in big time. They do a lot of work for veterans. VA hospitals, they donate there. Say there's somebody who doesn't have, the means to get a ride there. They'll pay for they'll give rides. They'll pay for the public transportation. They've obviously got the Shriners Hospital. They help out any other organization that needs help. They don't stop at just one thing. If the Lions Club's putting on an event, a fish fry, they'll go and attend and they'll help out and they'll help fund it. It's just, but anything charitable. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you this. Had a kid that came to me a few years, I think it was about 3 years ago, and he didn't have money for college. Turns out his great-grandfather happened to be a Freemason. He was no longer around. The Grand Lodge of Indiana ended up paying for his college tuition.
Wow.
So, and we offer college tuition to non-Freemason children also. They just have to apply like a scholarship. They have to have a certain grade point average and things like that.
Okay, so, I didn't know you guys, gave rides and stuff, for people that couldn't get where they need to go and help veterans and stuff. Yep. That's some good information for all to know about, that they can depend on you if they get their mindset right. Take away, like you've done me tonight, of the doubt, misinformation and stuff on what you do. I know there's limits on what you can put out, but that stuff to me is essential for veterans and stuff to help out and everything.
Right.
So, but I'll say good night. God bless you all, and let somebody else try one more before Mike pulls the plug and things. And I love you all, and God bless. You guys take care, and love you all in chat. And Shane, if you're listening, get well, buddy. And if you need me to come visit, holler at me and see how I'm doing and see if I can make it down there. You guys take care.
Thanks, sir.
Love you. God bless. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Rob. All right. One last caller, and then there's so many great questions in chat. Listen, folks, I'm going to try to do a rapid fire with Cam here in just a minute. So I'm going to try to get to as many of those questions that are backed up as quickly as I can. But let's bring in our last caller real quick. This is Eric Green. How you doing tonight, Eric? You there, Eric? All right. Real quick, who's the leader of the Masons? Is there like a top guy?
Yeah, I'm sure there's the grand poobah of the whole world and the nation. I don't know his name.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I don't even know the Grand Lodge name in Indiana. That's not something I have to know.
We'll try to hit as many of these questions as I possibly can. Just if you don't know the answer, we'll move on as quick as we can. What percentage of donations go to the children?
I have no idea. I don't run it. I don't work in the
Okay.
treasury or administration.
Do they accept Asians?
Yeah,
Okay.
all races.
Are the Knights of Columbus in the Freemasons?
No, that's
Okay.
the Catholic version of Freemasons.
Okay.
No affiliation.
I went back a little ways, so I'm scrolling down here. I'm trying to catch your guys' questions.
Lisa, it's not that they didn't let us know the top Freemason's name. I just don't know it personally.
We kind of already asked this question earlier, but I'm going to ask it again. Freemasons put up the Georgia Guidestones, correct or not correct?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, this one I thought was a really good question too. Is the membership declining with the way young men have been indoctrinated?
No and yes, but our numbers are doing just fine.
Okay. Did Cam say he was running for office in Indiana, Congress or representative?
I'm not going to say right now. This is the internet. I don't need any bad PR on that end.
So if an individual really wanted to get involved, and I don't know if that was a question, a comment, I don't know. If just an individual wanted to get involved with maybe helping out, is there a path to that?
Yeah, ask one to know one. Go to your local, run to your, over to your local lodge, try to meet one of them, They're good guys. They'll talk to you. It's not like that, people make it sound out. They're just like us,
Here's one. I don't know if you can answer this or not. Where do they get the money?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. I will, because if I say, where do they get the money, and I don't answer it, they're going to make up something for it. They get their money from guys like me. I pay yearly dues, just like in a motorcycle club, just like anything else.
I was part of the electrical union at one time, and I paid union dues, and there was stuff taken out of my check for our PMR money. I would say that this is probably ran very similar.
Right. Well, I mean, just do this. It's I pay $80 a year. Okay. What was it? Just do the numbers here. There's over 95,000 in the state of Indiana, and do 95,000 times $80 annually, and then do that by 50 states. Of course, the numbers change. They take in money that way, but they donate a lot of it too.
So who is the Lions Club affiliated with?
I have no clue.
They have Masonic homes for the elderly. I don't know if that's a question or a comment.
No, they do. I think she was just saying it, but yes, they do.
Okay. So they build or buy homes for the elderly?
Either, yeah. I mean, if it's
Okay.
they build it, or they have communities, things like that. They got one about 30 miles from me.
Okay. As we're winding down here, I'm just trying to grab as many as I can. Why won't they let you know the top Freemason's name?
No, I should have said that different. I can Google it right now if I want to. It's not that they won't tell us. It's that I just don't pay attention to all the leaders in every state. I just focus on my local lodge.
Okay. This is a great question. Do they believe in Jesus?
Yes, I do. Most of the guys I go with. Now, this is what I will say. They don't have to have a certain religious belief. Now, this is where people get into the Satanism. You are not allowed to be a Satanist and be in there. You're at least not allowed to admit it. You have to believe in God. So whether you get there by, you're Catholic or Protestant, or you're Lutheran, doesn't matter to them as long as you have a firm belief in the higher power, God. But most of them are Christian. And the other thing I'll say is my lodge is about 80% military veterans and active military. So
Okay.
just
This is another really good question. Listen, a lot of you have some really great questions. I'm trying to get to as many of them as I possibly can before we end the show tonight. How many in the Masons, in the Freemasons? I think that's a great question.
how many?
Yeah.
I
Do you
have
have any idea?
I have no clue. I've never looked that up. Nor would it be accurate if I did anyway, because yeah.
I mean, let's just shoot from the hip. 100,000, a million, 2
God.
million.
Well, I know there's 95, whether inactive. That includes the guys that have passed away. They're always, they're always brother. 95,000, roughly, here in Indiana. I mean, I would have to say millions in the United States, millions worldwide. Hundreds of millions worldwide.
Okay. Have you advanced past the 3rd degree?
No, I'm a 3rd degree Blue Lodge, which is the highest degree Mason you can go. Like I said, I'll explain that in another video. Everybody thinks it's like when you're 33rd degree, you're somehow no more than the 3rd degree Master Mason, and you don't. We all sit in the same room.
Did Ted Turner build the Guidestones?
I have no idea.
Well, it was Patriot Missile. It was
Yeah.
Patriot Missile. It was a statement, and I turned it into a question.
You know how?
It
Notice
was
how
a
I made
statement.
it. Notice how I was a little sarcastic on the last question about those. I'm not going to answer that. No, the Masons didn't put the Guidestones up.
Was Turner a Freemason? That's another, I guess, good question.
Don't know the guy. Don't know.
Let's see. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on in chat. A lot of good
Oh,
stuff. A lot of people talking back and forth. It's a great conversation. Let's see. I was showed what a 33 degree should know. Let's see. If you're seeing anything there, Cam, that you would like to answer or comment, go ahead, brother. I'm just trying to catch as many questions as I possibly can.
I just want to thank everybody for being pretty damn respectful. I mean, I've seen a couple hateful ones out there, but you guys are just generally, it seems to me, asking questions. I know you may not agree or you may not approve of the Masons, but I just want to say thanks for being respectful, because most of you are. But Patriot Operator, I just want to confirm what you said. When you're 3rd degree, you are all equal, and that is correct. There is no hierarchy other than during Lodge, and that's just basically your job title while at Lodge, just like military ranks, but we're all in the same room.
Well, you can learn something from the chat there, Cam. They're coming up with all the numbers. There's 95K in Indiana.
Yeah.
There's 6 million members worldwide, little over 2 million in the United States. I mean, we got a educated audience here, and it's so refreshing to see people interact with you, interact with the conversation. And they're bringing stuff, and it's not everybody has to believe the same way.
Right. You're welcome, Lori Confrey. The Guidestones. Hold on, I'm trying to find questions. They're just moving quick.
Yeah. Do agree Masons get involved in supporting candidates for election office? I would say yeah. They probably get together.
But it's not. It depends on the context of the question, because a lot of people will say Masons determine who gets elected, or they sway things. No. If you guys, some of you follow my channel, I know a couple of you in here probably are on my channel. But I just got a ticket from a police officer the other day. Okay. I'm a Freemason. The local judge that I'm going to go and stand in front of is also a Freemason. He fined me. So did I get favoritism? No, I got fined. And, so just an example, that doesn't really happen like people think it does. We're supposed to be morally upstanding. Okay. That means if one of us messes up, we're we're worthy of the same punishment you guys are.
All right. Well, I can't get to all of the questions tonight. So listen, folks, if you guys didn't get your question answered, don't be discouraged. I have invited Cam to come back again. We'll do another episode on this topic. Probably a couple more episodes on this topic. And if you didn't get your questions answered tonight, then we'll try to get to them the next time too. I kind of like the rapid fire, trying to answer as many questions as we possibly can for the audience, because listen, the audience is intelligent, and they're trying to figure this out too, and they got questions. They want to get answers if they can, and it's a fun for me.
Sharon says, are the Masons and Offshoot of Templars? It's actually backwards. And we're going to go into that. I don't want to answer too much of that. That's going to be episode 2, where we're going to go into, as a matter of fact, some of you guys are going to like that, because we're going to bash the Masons for a whole hour. And we're going to talk about all the negatives. And there was another one, but it went by. I was going to try to answer. That's okay. We can do it another time too. But no, Cam's link. I don't have my link, guys. I don't know how to do all that.
The mods have been dropping your channel into chat all night, so the mods will drop it again. So let's roll into final thought, Cam. Okay. For this first episode of talking about Freemasonry, Freemasons, I find it very interesting, and I just want to thank you for coming up here and just giving us the opportunity to ask some questions and to try to get information, because obviously none of us we can't just go out and walk into a lodge and just start asking questions.
Right.
So it's nice to have somebody who can come up and answer a few questions. You can't answer them all, but I understand that. So your final thoughts for tonight and moving forward?
Well, I guess I'll go if I can be like not personal for a minute, but I just want people to think, not just when it comes to Masons, not when it just comes to me, just everybody. Not necessarily be careful what you say, because you're entitled to your opinion, and I support the First Amendment totally, but think about who you could be talking about when you, let's say you say that Freemasons are pedos. A lot of men that have fought and lost their limbs for your freedom are my fellow brother Masons, and they've never hurt anybody. And they would never do that. They've got grandkids. They've got kids of their own. They do charitable works. When you call a Freemason a pedo, you're calling me one. And I've got 2 little girls that I've brought up on camera many times. A lot of you guys have seen them. Do they look like they're tormented? No. My wife holds me at very high, and I don't even deserve the woman, to be quite honest with you. I'm here to hopefully put some kind of bridge between conspiracy and reality. I'm real. I'm a real human being. I'm a Freemason. I'm a Christian. I have a family. And I'm here to tell you that I don't see what some of you guys say happens. I haven't seen it. Never have before. I see nothing but normal people just like you and I.
Let me ask you this question. I got to pause you for just a second. So as a 3rd degree master, are you what's the word I want to use here? Can you go to ceremonies for the 32nd, 33rd degree ceremonies, or if somebody gets inducted as a 33rd Mason, are you at a 3rd degree? Are you allowed to go watch that and be part of that?
Yes.
Okay. Because that answers a lot of questions for me. Because if you weren't allowed to see what some of that stuff goes on, then that would be a concern of mine. So
right.
if you're telling me that you can go be part of that ceremony and watch and see what goes on, then it answers a question for me.
Well, somebody in here says no. Chip says no. So this is where that comes from is you can go online and find out what the levels are. So there's, the 3 levels. You got to enter the apprentice, but, I don't want to, and you got to go through the levels. The people that are coming in cannot see the people going through the processes. They can only go through the process they're there to go through. Once you become a Master Mason, for anybody saying no in here, then I find it kind of funny, because I've watched people get advancements on my lodge floor that were much higher than me. So I don't know, like I said, and the other thing I just want to add out there, people there was one person, that's what they said. They go, oh, this guy's doing disinformation. Somebody in my family was a Mason, and I know he's not. Mike will tell you, I just read all of what I just told you and backed it up with 2 Masonic books. So if I'm being, you know what I mean? So I'm actually, that's factual. So I'm not telling you guys something that I haven't done or haven't seen. We'll get to a point where you guys will stump me, because when we get to certain points that I haven't studied, no, I'm not going to talk on it, and I'm not, going to say something I don't know. But yes, we're all equal. We're all brothers.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. My final thought is this. The reason why I agreed to do this show is I just wanted to bring some light to a lot of the confusion and the questions. Try to give you guys a few answers if we could. I'm still in the camp of I don't know, and I'm not going to speak ill of these people. So far, nothing's been proven to me that they're the evil cult that everybody thinks they are. Just because certain people out there say it doesn't mean it's true. Right. So I've had allegations thrown at me too. So I just I tread lightly on stuff like that, and I find the conversation interesting, and I love history. So I absolutely love history. I fell in love with the movie National Treasure. I love history, and I hope to be able to make it to the East Coast one day and to go through the museums and follow the history and check all that stuff out, because I feel like it's up to us to know our history, because if we don't, we're doomed to repeat it. So anyway, that's my final thought for tonight, and thanks for joining us, everybody. We're broadcasting on LWN and LWN2, Facebook and Twitch. So thank you for joining us tonight. As always, thank you for the new memberships tonight. Thank you for all the support you guys give us. I guess we'll be back tomorrow evening, same time, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain Time. I will be back on tomorrow morning for devotions if you guys want to join me, and that's 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and headline hits at noon. So I just really appreciate you jumping up here, Cam, and we got a lot of great things that we got planned that Denise is working on. So stay tuned, folks. We're going to have a great time doing this.
See you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hoping for a sincere performance, but open to finding the moment, to finding out where I'm headed now. Looking for a sign of disaster, so I can make it there faster. I'm weighing the consequences out. I can see in all directions. It's all open to interpretation, but I see colors that are breaking from the other side, the other side. When I make mountains out of summer trails, when I buckle under all the details, I'll I'm wearing the